Hey guys, Steven here. Welcome to the channel. So I just thought it'd be fun to do a little moto vlog and talk to you guys about some stuff that happened on DoorDash and update you on how the bike is going and maybe a little bit on how the scooter is going too. So first, I recently crossed 16,000 miles on the bike, which I've put about 13,000 of on it at this point. And yeah, so there's a 16,000 mile maintenance checkup that I decided to do. And Honda recommends some things in the manual, and then, you know, I just needed normal things like an oil change at this point too, and brake pads, spark plugs, all that good stuff. So I went ahead and got all that upgraded. Although they said the spark plugs were fine, they didn't look bad or anything. They still thought it was a good time to replace them, but it didn't look like the engine was running any which way. It wasn't too lean. It wasn't, yeah, so you get the idea. It was fine. And then the brake pads, the front ones were down to 10% left, so they went ahead and replaced those, which I appreciate. And then yeah, I got a few other things done, of course. And the bike rides really well. Oh, the other big one was the chain. So they replaced the chain, because 16,000 miles on the chain is a pretty good amount, and it was starting to wear out. So I didn't replace the sprockets or anything. They seem to think that even though normally they'd recommend doing that the sprockets were fine, and as long as I wasn't getting like a super expensive chain, and as long as I like maybe do more maintenance more frequently on this one, that it should last something like 12,000 miles or something. So it was worth just holding out one more time before getting the sprockets. And the reason for that is because they have a like aftermarket rear sprocket, but with the front one I'd have to do the OEM sprocket. So I just chose to kind of like hold out on that and just wait. Oh, this is a historic bridge over here that I just passed under. I believe it's a one-lane covered bridge, although I try to avoid that bridge when I'm on the bike, because I've never gone across it, but my ex that had the same scooter that I have fell on that bridge because of the way it was kind of set up. So since that happened to her, where she fell on there, I have not risked it. There's another little bridge. That one might be a 2-lane though, but there are a lot of little historic bridges over here, or at least a couple. This bridge right here, this is the Silver Comet Trail, and so when I go bicycling, a lot of times I'll bicycle across that bridge, which is fun. But yeah, I was glad to get the bike fixed, get all these things. I say fixed, but you know, it's really just maintenance. Nothing broke or anything. It was just wearing out in the normal fashion. But yeah, as you might notice, today is actually warm enough to where I'm not even wearing the leather jacket. I'm not sure if you can tell that from where the camera is, but yeah, I've just got the mesh jacket on today, because even though it's February, for some reason today is particularly warm. Even though the sun is not in the middle of the sky, it looks like it's getting close to setting. It's still relatively comfortable. Alright, so I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that happened with DoorDash while I wasn't recording. So as you know, DoorDash sends me into interesting areas of town, and sometimes it sends me into some sketchy areas in Atlanta, and I really don't like to do that on the bike so much, so I've been taking the scooter a little bit more, but I can't remember if this was on the bike or the scooter. I think it was on the motorcycle. But I was delivering an order, I believe it was like from Church's Chicken, and it ended up going to a place called Starship, which, if you know about that place, it's a It's a interesting shop. I think they have some smoking accessories, but most of the other accessories are, you know, maybe X-rated or something. I don't know how to say it in a way that YouTube won't get frustrated about or whatever. But basically I was on that order and I was taking the food over, and I saw a lady that looked kind of out of place just based off of what she was wearing. And of course in my mind I'm just like, oh, that's probably a you know, lady of the streets. I don't know a better way to put it than that YouTube might not frown upon. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'm just assuming. That's a little rude of me to just assume that. And then about 2 blocks later there was another lady like that, and she was waving at me and smiling, and that was more obvious. It's like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. And then she was wearing something that was easy for her to reveal part of herself to me, I'll just say it that way. And so I just thought that was funny. It's like, what a random day delivering food in Atlanta, right? But obviously I kept going and delivered the order, but you never know what's going to happen on these DoorDash orders. Anyway, I'm just glad that no one has been violent towards me, and no one has tried to, you know, I'm always kind of concerned about certain areas of town that someone might try to take the bike while I'm inside, or, you know, just something of that nature. But so far I haven't had any issues. But that's why I do it during daylight hours, is because there's just a little bit of a safety concern about some of the areas they send me to. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. And then of course, just other little DoorDash things, nothing like that, just mostly frustrating things. On that particular DoorDash, I think I made about $10 an hour, so it was very similar to the one that I posted previously as far as what I made. So at some point coming soon, I will stop accepting all the orders, because I don't seem to see any benefit to doing something for $10 an hour where you're risking life carrying people's food to them. I think it should make a little bit more, so I'm going to start turning down orders and staying in different areas of town where maybe tips are a little bit better in certain areas. But anyway, just thought that was some interesting stuff that I wanted to share with you guys. But what has y'all's experience been? Have any of you guys done DoorDash on the motorcycle or in the car or whatever, or Uber Eats or any of those things? Have you encountered any strange things like this? Do you have any interesting tales of stuff that's happened on dashes? I'd love to hear about that. And another question for you guys: do y'all do your own work on your motorcycle? Because I noticed that while I'm really happy with the way this is riding right now, and they did great work, it was a bit pricey, and I feel like there were certain things that maybe I could learn to do, and then that way I could just spend the money when it's really something that I couldn't learn how to do myself fairly easily. So just curious about that. How many of you guys work on your own bikes versus just taking it in and getting it worked on? Like I said, I don't even do my own oil changes on the bike, although I do on the scooter. And then the other thing with the scooter is I rode it earlier today. It's still riding great, and it's got 2,500 miles on it, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but with the way everybody talks about the Chinese scooters versus other ones, I just figured I would have run into more problems other than just the battery issue. Obviously, I'm on the 3rd battery, so there is a thing about it draining batteries if you leave it in. But other than that, I haven't really had any issues with it that weren't directly related to that battery issue. So I thought that was kind of cool that it's really been a decent vehicle so far. And with stuff that I've heard about some of the cheaper brands, I guess it's a slightly better brand than some of the really cheap ones. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting and wanted to share that with you guys too. And then as far as getting the bike fixed, it's been riding really well. So one thing I've noticed is that the chain being new really makes a difference on acceleration. Like when I get into gear, it's very smooth going between gears now. So, you know, just things like that. That wasn't a good example, but I think that was me not putting it into gear with enough force. I don't think that was the bike. But yeah, I had to ride a little bit while the weather was nice and while everything's going good. But yeah, what are some questions that you guys have about the bike, or just if you're a beginner rider, stuff that you'd like to know? If you are doing DoorDash on a motorcycle or a scooter, I know I talked about the drinks before, but that's one thing that gets asked a lot, so I'm just going to mention this briefly. But the biggest secret that I found I got from American Deli, because they just do this normally anyway. If you have a loose drink, put the lid on it, put it in a grocery bag, so bring some grocery bags with you, and then basically you tie it down to where the bag is holding the lid on the drink. Even if you do hit some bumps, even if it does spill a little bit, you'll be fine, because your delivery bag won't get all sticky and stuff. You will, however, have to replace the grocery bag if you don't want the outside of everybody's drink to end up sticky. But that's kind of the secret, is just bring yourself a grocery bag, tie it on there, and if you have some, like, you know, like the bread ties, like the way they hold the bread bag shut, if you have something like that, little twisty tie things that you can close the bag with, that might work better than actually tying the bag too. I haven't done that, but I've thought about it. I just always forget when I'm kind of on the way out the door and stuff. But I bet if you had those, it'd be easier to reuse the bag and easier to get their drink out of the bag when you get to where you're going. But yeah, so that's basically it. I don't think you can see the new chain or anything, but yeah, to kind of summarize what all they did, they gave me new spark plugs, they put the new chain on, front brake pads, I'm trying to think of what else they did, an oil change, and they checked all the fluid levels, you know, like brake fluid, and they might have done things like flush the coolant and just, you know, just done typical things like that. So it's just a normal service, and then getting the chain and stuff too. And it did end up costing a bit, but I'm okay with it, because when I got it back, it's riding better than it did maybe ever, or about as good as it did when I got it from the shop in the first place. So I still think Hondas are great. If you're going to get something that's reliable, you can't go wrong with Honda. Speaking of Hondas, there's one that just pulled in front of me. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, I hope you'll have a great rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out here and watching. If you like motovlogs, you just like riding along with me and hearing about this stuff, subscribe. I'll have more of this stuff coming up soon. And I will see you guys later.